Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today we're returning to the wonderful world of Quo, and we're going to discuss, among other things, Catalyst, how to deal with Catalyst, things happening in our world, and how to use it spiritually, and also the differences between time, space, and space-time. We begin with a session delivered on November of 2002. The question to Quo, who is a social memory complex comprised of a variety of sources channeling in this particular incident. The question is, Quo has to do with the intensity of catalyst that we feel. We've heard it said that most learning that is efficient takes place with some sort of trauma. We're wondering why that is. Is it due to the intensity of the lesson we wish to learn? Is the lesson we wish to learn discernible from the catalyst that we experience? Or do we need to look deeper than the catalyst that we experience? We would like for you to give us some information concerning how we experience our catalyst, how we can be more efficient in using our catalyst. Is it in dealing with the catalyst itself that we see what we're trying to learn, or do we need to meditate more to discover the lessons? Do we need to work out with our dreams? Do we need to do essays? Do we need to be doing something besides just looking at the catalyst that is available in our daily lives? Carla channeling begins by saying, "We are those known to you as the principle of Quo, and we greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. It is a blessing for us to be able to serve your group at this time, and we thank you for the privilege of being called by your request for information. We are most happy to share our humble thoughts with you, with the request that you listen with a careful ear to those things that we would say, rejecting all those things that do not resonate to your personality. This will enable us to feel that we have the opportunity to speak without being perceived as authorities or in any way limiting your free will or your ability to choose for yourself those thoughts that you would value and use as resources. The answer to the question which you ask this day resides with the nuances of your everyday experience. You ask concerning the nature of perceived experience, for each has experienced those situations which seem to constitute a challenge of one kind or another. And these challenges are not perceived as being comfortable or convenient. Questions arise when such catalyst is encountered, such as the one known as V asked, "What is the universe attempting to say to me? What am I attempting to say to myself?" And as the one known as T has pointed out, at the end of all questions of this kind, the one question that is sure to remain is that question that children ask with such stunning simplicity. Why does it have to happen at all? Rather than deal with this question at this level, we find that it would be useful to remove our point of view to a place which is less local than global, is less personal than planetary, and is less part of culture and more part of archetype. The one known as Jim is quite accurate in supposing that there are more levels to catalyst than either literally or figuratively meet the eye. There are, shall we say, 3 basic levels of catalyst, and certainly many sub-levels of catalyst. The first level is the level of surface reality, what this instrument would call consensus reality. On this level, situations have ripened into manifestation, and often there are choices to make concerning physical details such as the setting of limits, the choosing of resources, selection of options. Upon the second level of catalyst lie the underlying qualities which, in combination, ripening through natural processes of the spiritual evolution, as well as physical and emotional cycles, create the shape of the story that appears within the personal movie of the life, shall we say, for each has a long-running, full-color movie which is being made up of the multi-layered and many-leveled story of the life, the one known to each of you as the I. At this second level of catalyst, there is a tremendous amount of power within the simple knowing that you are not alone, neither in your suffering nor in your confusion, but rather each of you is the center of concern, care, love, and protection of several of those beings who dwell within your inner planes. Each entity who moves through the gates of incarnation into third density existence, has 3 of these presences. They may be characterized in different ways. This instrument was trained to characterize them as male, female, and unified, or androgynous. However, in addition to these entities, which this instrument has a tendency to call angelic, there may be added to your panel of support any number of those who are attracted by your energy, your hopes, your ideals and faith, or the lovely light and color of your appreciation of beauty, or your devotion to service. These entities cannot help directly with the choosing of the first level of catalyst. These entities cannot make decisions for you concerning the setting of limits, the choosing of options, the selection of the various details of surface catalyst. However, if remembered and included, these presences are able to energize the forces around you to vibrate with information that will aid you as you seek to make the choices that the catalyst has brought out. These underlying shapes are shapes made by those who move in the ways of learning to love and to be loved. When you are asking for the help of angels and guides, it is well to begin with thanksgiving, with praise, and with confidence in yourself, in those who are helping you, and in the perfection of that which is quite apparently imperfect. The third level of catalyst is the archetypal. Within this level of catalyst lie your most powerful tools for transforming the very nature of your state of consciousness in such a way that it remains within a state of bliss, even as it is moving through perceived imperfections. Within this level of catalyst, however, the energies are deep, dark, and slow to respond to the conscious mind. Working at this level of catalyst, the greatest resource is silence. It is at the foundation of archetypical level that one practices the presence of the infinite creator. It is at this level that one becomes a creature of one's own heart, accepting the interiority of the self and opening to that unknown room within, which one of this instrument's favorite poets called the rag and bone shop of the heart. Yes, each of you does have indeed the rags and the bones, the teeth and the hair, and the memories of how you gained and lost all of those things. And those things lie within the pack rat heart until the energies are appropriate for cleaning house, for dusting, for tidying, and gathering up the garbage into a bin for removal from the life, from the memory, from the need to feel responsible. The one known as T asked a poignant question in the conversation preceding this meditation, describing a halcyon, golden day within his life in which he basically felt there was some progress made and some realization gained. This entity awoke to a new day and found that this new day came challenges of such a nature as to remove those feelings of comfort, serenity, and joy, and replace them, seemingly of necessity, with feelings of limitation, aggravation, and separation. How can we learn to retain that feeling of realization when the next catalyst occurs? Asked this entity, and we feel this is the question upon which we would focus for the remainder of this instrument's portion of this communication. That which you experience as a life seems to have a very steady roll and rhythm to it, as if it were anchored with the birth and the death, and the unrolling ribbon between is just long enough to fit. Yet we find that the experiences of a lifetime are only in part that which is trapped within time and space upon the, shall we say, surface of time/space continuum, which you at this time travel within incarnation. Fully half or more of that which you experience as part of a seemingly continuous and unremarkable presence that unrolls steadily before you is actually called to the present from the future or the past by those patterns of thought which circle around the questions of loving and being loved. One of the questions that was asked was, can we work with these challenges by identifying the chakra of the energy body which is bearing the brunt of this challenge? And the answer is in part yes. These considerations are always helpful. However, we would suggest that there is also skill and art in throwing open the windows of the self to the light within, to the hope within, to the faith within, so that there is a growing awareness in yourself as you work with Catalyst, that you are only partially a creature of time and space. In another portion of yourself, you are a universal, an infinite being, a dweller in eternity, and one who has given gifts to the self from the future and from the past that feed into the present moment. Because there is a need for the nuances, for the lessons of loving and being loved. No matter where the energy centers are that are being stressed by the challenges experienced, the lessons will continue to be about love. As wisdom feeds into the daily life, that wisdom expresses itself as different realizations of what love is, new and invigorating awarenesses of what is to share unconditional love. And for those who are in advanced lessons within incarnation, the challenges are nuanced by the shadings of the energies of accepting the love offerings of others. Many are the times that a negatively presenting set of circumstances has at its formative cause the need to learn the lesson of accepting the love that is given to one. It is in almost every case among those who are positively oriented far easier to learn the lessons of loving than those of being truly, unconditionally, utterly, and completely loved. The resistance to the truth of that creates a good deal of murkiness within the patterns that are created through the archetypical and secondary systems of Catalyst. Consequently, we would suggest the value of dwelling not so much upon the first level of Catalyst in thinking about what to do concerning the challenges of the Catalyst, as upon thinking more or allowing more time to process the secondary level of Catalyst and the archetypical level of Catalyst. This would translate into actions such as pondering, as the one known as Jim has said, those items which lie before the mind during moments of work where the attention is not taken by detail, musing along one's way as one drives in the car or walks within nature. And always, in order to call in those archetypical sources of information, it is helpful to spend time in the meditative state, invoking the silence of self that allows that still small voice of guidance within to have its time to shine like a day star in the heart. Angels surround you, beating with silent wings, their trumpets raised. They play that hosanna of praise and thanksgiving that fills the universe with song. The magic of this vision lies all about you. Every corner of your consensus reality is crowded with magic. All of the creation of the Infinite One is as responsive to you as the entity sitting next to you, and is perhaps more aware of you and who you truly are than any entity whom you may meet within the physical illusion. These entities, these plants, these animals, these elements have found simpler ways to love and to be loved than are available within third density, and that direct, intuitive, and unhesitating way of loving and accepting love is a great lesson that you may pick up at any time from the wind, the rain, the fire on your grate, and the earth of your own body. The more that you are able to rest within this unity with all things at this very simple level, the sturdier your spirit will be at retaining that vibration of praise, thanksgiving, and joy, which is the steady state of awareness shared by those who dwell completely within the creation of the one infinite Logos. What is your identity? Whenever you can keep a part of your identity quite clearly within your mind as being one with all you seek, one with all you do not seek, one with all you understand, and one with all you do not understand, one with all of whom you approve, and one with all of whom you do not approve. It is not that we ask you to ignore the catalyst of daily life. We hope that you will participate to the extent that you feel that you make many, many foolish errors. Why would we hope that you make errors? Precisely as each of you has supposed in the conversation preceding this discussion that we have with you now, there are many times where, according to the plan for learning that constitutes your particular incarnation, you've chosen to take up a nexus of decision. On the surface, it is a decision concerning details. At the secondary level, it is a decision concerning love. At the archetypical level, it is always a decision concerning the nature and mission of the self. Let yourself slide up and down in and out of these levels, not disrespecting one level or valuing one level more than another, but seeing both, that all things are what they seem and that nothing is as it seems, and that both of these realizations may lead you to skillful acts. As we leave this instrument, we would simply say that as always, we remain ready to move into meditation with you as you request our presence. There are, as we just said, many entities just waiting for the invitation to be part of your magical world, your blueprint for transformation. It is a good plan. You have all chosen well. You have chosen indeed for an intensity or density of catalyst, hoping both to learn and to serve. And each of you is doing well. Naturally, because of the nature of the physical illusion, there is seldom a finished or symmetrical feel to everyday existence. And yet, as this instrument has often said, once one has found that place for the first time, there's a wonderful, ever-present space wherein one is in tabernacle with the Infinite One, resting in love and in light and infinitely full of the one Creator. Question: Quo, I was thinking about my pets this week and just the nature of the pets as they relate to third density humans. My recollection is that some pets are second density and some pets are even beginning or early levels of third density. As third density is moving into fourth density, will our pets follow into fourth density? I guess it's a multi-level question in that I'm not sure how fourth density works with us moving into fourth density, if we will remain in fourth density on this planet or if we will go to other planets in fourth that will accommodate or support fourth density entities. At what level are pets capable of remaining with us? Is there any such thing as a pet, per se, in the higher densities beyond third or fourth? I am Quo and am aware of your query, my sister. This is not a simple query, as one might imagine, for the experience of all consciousness is movement toward the Creator. There are for each entity companions, energy fields of intelligence that move in rhythm and harmony with you at various portions of your evolution. Whether one calls an energy field a pet or a person is dependent, of course, upon the individuality of that source of energy. When the spirit complex has been awakened within an energy field, then there is that which we have called a mind-body-spirit complex. In your illusion, the third density in which you now inhabit, you have the companionship of those you've called the pet. In many instances, these entities, through long experience with many of those whom you would call masters, some of which have been totally experienced with one such master, others with more, have the ability to give and receive that which we call love. That is the determining factor as to the density level of the entity called a pet. As these entities are more and more able to appreciate that quality of love, support, and nurturing that is given to them by those that are their masters, so then these entities learn to give that known as love as well, so that there is a giving and a receiving that appreciates the balancing nature of fully developed love. That these entities may approach their own graduation is also certain. That they shall continue as a pet is unlikely, for these entities then are able to exercise their own free will in a way which is not as likely for a second density entity that willingly gives over its care and decision-making to another. That these entities shall continue as companions is likely, for there is always an appreciation that it is possible that there be a maturation of the relationship which is most likely to occur, for the appreciation for the relationship is that which is based upon love, and which is the, shall we say, thread that binds the two. Many times there is a student-teacher relationship which develops from that which was formerly the master and the pet. There are, throughout all of creation, relationships which partake of greater knowledge, a sharing with that which calls for knowledge, the love, the light, and desire to serve that are the motivating factors for all intelligence within the creation of the one Creator. Thus, you may rest assured that when love has been given and received, there is a bond that continues. Question: The last time we had a channeling meditation, Carla asks, I got an energy in the channel that was a little different than anything I'd experienced before. and that there was a tremendous amount of energy and pressure behind the source of information. And even though I talked as fast as I could, I was probably only expressing 10 to 15% of what I could have if I'd somehow been able to speak sufficiently quickly to get everything from the stream as it was coming past. I wonder if you could say anything to me about the experience of that. I've been able to figure out what made it unique in terms of anybody special visiting the group or any particular great energy that happened to be behind the question. Any comments would be helpful. I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. The cycle, which is in most sway for this particular type of service, that is the vocal channel, is the cycle of the adept. As we have heard this group call it, the 18-day cycle moves in the form of the sine wave, with certain days being propitious, shall we say, for such undertakings. The experience of the pressure is the experience of the availability of information to one such as yourself, which serves as instrument. When one is able to open one's instrument in a clear fashion, putting aside the personal drama and coloration of the day, and is able to find the favor of the particular day within the adept cycle that is at the peak of the availability to receive information, then the information seems to come much more easily and clearly without the struggle to define the concept, to pick a certain word, or feel capable of describing that which is seen before the inner eye. The experience is one which leaves the trace of vividness which you have experienced, and which may, with some profit to future experiences, be plotted upon a graph in order to know when this cycle is available. Carla says, well, further comment, and I would like to have you comment. I discovered in talking to the people that experienced that with me, from the standpoint of listening to it rather than producing it, that there was an overall experience of too many words to be able to grasp any of them. So that it seems to me it would be to my benefit to learn how not to do that, how to retain the clarity but remove the prolixity. Any comments you could give that would be helpful. I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. It is much as the downhill skier, whose image we place in this instrument's mind, taking the corners more swiftly than usual, feeling uncomfortable as the skill is mastered. Though you have practiced for many of your years to serve as a vocal instrument, for all instruments there's a great deal of work that can be done to refine the art, learning to experience the prolixity of words and to find the heart of the concept and the perfect word to describe it is as the fast lane turns for the skier, and will become more comfortable for you to experience in the future sessions. In another question, they ask, Quo, would you tell us who of your group are with us tonight? Can you tell us about yourselves and just a general idea of what energies are with us tonight? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my brother. When we of Quo speak with you, there is a joining of a number of social memory complexes which have had previous experience in communication with this group, and which have lent their energies in order that this contact might be made possible. Those of Latwii were the first to be in long-term contact with this group, though those of Hatan, who have later joined as a more active portion of the principle known as Quo, were first to initiate contact with this group in its early days. Those of Ra have been, shall we say, a guiding principle or overarching energy which has made the formation of our group possible by blending their portion of love and light to form Quo with Hatan and Latwii. This is the core, or Quo. There are also others from the Confederation of Planets in the service of the one infinite Creator that have joined this circle of seeking from time to time as its composition has required or requested certain elements that are accentuated in these other entities, some of which have names and some of which do not. Question. I have one that's relative to what S was asking. When the principle was formulated, how did you come up with and what is the energy related to the vibratory complex Quo? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. We make this instrument smile. It has been a long time since he saw his 10th grade Latin teacher. In the study of the language known as Latin, there is the word Quo, which asks who, what, where, when. We were attempting to give this group a clue as to who we were. More specifically, we were attempting to inspire this group to ask who we were. Our efforts were minimal, for it took this group nearly 2 years of your time to ask. She says, that's because I wasn't here before. I've been wanting to know for a long time. Quo says, our choice perhaps could have been more, shall we say, piquing to the interest. We chose as we did, hoping that one of the two instruments would remember high school Latin. We appreciate the time factor, for not all learn as quickly as do others. We shall learn to choose perhaps more interesting names in your future. For now, we remain those of Quo, and at this time we shall thank each once again for inviting our presence in your circle of seeking this day. In a session in 2006, exactly what is the central sun of our galaxy around which all the stars revolve? P considers it to be a superdense mass equivalent to thousands of our suns. It is constantly emitting powerful omnidirectional rays punctuated by periodic megabursts that flow out to all parts of the galaxy. He feels that these travel just below the speed of light. Do any emissions, these so-called trigger points, travel at the speed of thought, in other words, instantaneously? I've considered that the central sun was another name for a black hole. Are they, or are they not, the same thing? Can these be compared and discussed as to the role that each plays in creation and the evolution of consciousness? I want to know what the central sun is. Does it have anything to do with black holes? And what is the effect of the central sun and of black holes upon the evolution of consciousness? Carla channeling. We are those known to you as the principle of Quo. Greetings in the love and the light of the one infinite creator in whose service we come to you this day. We thank the one known as J for this query. We must proceed with exquisite care in our response. There are several reasons for this need of care. We will enumerate them. Firstly, as this instrument said, the one known as Jim before the session, the request that is specifically placed for us for information is not a request for spiritual principles, but rather a request for information on how things work in the physical illusion. This constitutes, in the normal run of questions, a question that we are unable to answer. The substantive difficulty here is that this represents an active phase of a seeking entity's learning process at this time. Rather than asking for spiritual principles, which would be helpful in approaching this question, the query was simple to explain the situation as regards the central sun and to compare and contrast this central sun or the idea or this central sun with the idea or concept of black holes. This is our first problem with this query as it was asked. Our second and equally substantive challenge in responding to this query is that the instrument which we use at this time has virtually no scientific background, and therefore we would be completely unable to fulfill the parameters of your query, my brother, in that we cannot say anything exact through this instrument having to do with scientific questions. The concepts and the vocabulary for such exactitude are missing in this instrument's makeup. Therefore, our response shall be inexact and shall contain the flow of information which we're able to offer, which we feel may be of use to you, my brother. The concept of a central sun is one which many sources, including us, have used in discussing the energies that pour from the center of a galaxy or the creation itself. It is a challenge to discuss this concept of the central sun because of the relationship of the space-time of physical world, which is that which houses your consensus reality, and the metaphysical universe or time-space, which houses your consciousness, infinity, eternity, and the great mystery of non-locality. In the space-time universe, there are layers of physical laws which to some extent work in order to create information which is helpful in making the gadgets that your civilization enjoys. In a time-space universe, the work done is unseen. The values are not local, and one is freed from the relativity of space-time. Nevertheless, as the creation presents itself to the physical eye, especially that physical eye that is enhanced by those instruments that enable you to see farther and to see closer, there are an increasing number of ways in which scientific eyes have been able to see things they cannot explain. In some part, this is eternally the situation in an expanding universe of knowledge. That which is not yet known is that which has perhaps not even been imagined, or if it has been imagined or dreamt, there may be no way to measure or test the concepts and structures involved in the theories that are created to explain observations that have been made. In the case of the concepts of the great central sun and the black hole, you are looking at a phenomenon that is partially within the world of space-time and partially within the world of time-space. This may be seen to be logical in the same way this circle is round. The circle is round, therefore it has no beginning and no end, except that it does. Each creation of the Father has a beginning and an ending. However, because of the fact that the beginning and the ending are firmly in the precincts of time-space, what you're gazing at as you gaze at the central sun and the black hole are the alpha and omega of an unending circle. There is within this instrument's mind the concept of the Big Bang that supposedly began the creation. Through this instrument in the past, we have spoken several times of the beating of the great heart as a model to use when thinking of the creation. Certainly, when the heart beats, there is that moment when the pumping action of the heart occurs and blood is moved forward, not only through the heart, but through every vein and artery in the body. And each heartbeat is, in a way, a new world, a new situation for the circulatory system of that body. The great central sun, which is gaining a great deal of attention within your scientific world as instrumentation becomes more sophisticated and more details and facts are able to be gathered by your scientist, is that portion or phase of the Big Bang that exists after the heart has first pumped. That is to say, after the creator has decided to found and furnish a creation so that it may know itself. The so-called black hole, similarly, is that shadow of a time-space event that exists in space-time, which marks the progress to and the point from which there is no exit from the return to the one infinite creator. This arrangement of energy expenditures is a part of the structure within which all those parts of the creator which you represent may move through the dance of the densities, seeking the truth, learning what it is to be aware of the self, to be aware of love, to be aware of wisdom, and to be aware of unity. To attempt to understand the Creator by understanding the Creator's house is, in our humble opinion, an indirect attempt. Before we leave this particular query, we would say that there are points of energy throughout the creation which are created by thought when a galaxy, a sun system, or a planet, such as yours, is at a particular stage of evolution. Some situations or cruxes within the evolution of an entity, a planet, a sun, or a galaxy call for the availability of certain kinds of information, and you may, in some cases, see these pulses as being filled with information. Question: if you could tell us what crop circles are, why does no one seem to see them being made? Is there a spiritual principle behind crop circles? We are those of Quo and are aware of your query, my brother. The phenomenon of crop circle is just as the great central sun and the black hole phenomena, a phenomenon that has its roots in the world of time-space rather than space-time. The energies of evolution move from thought. There are planetary entities which have before called social memory complexes whose mode of service it is to create points of coherent mystery. The same energies are involved when an entity or group of entities creates a notation such as the Celtic runes. Such a notational system blends the mysterious and unknowable with everyday shapes, designs, and images. A rune may be a series of simple lines. It may be associated with a certain kind of tree. It may be intended to indicate a magical energy of such and such a vibration. When a system of such notation is worked out, it creates a kind of language. Your alphabet is such a notational system. The modern way of writing down music is such a notational system, and crop circles are a rudimentary notational system that is being created, not by a person but by an entire planetary group of entities who attempt to serve as those who alert the people of your planet to the fact there is more of a mysterious and unknown quality to existence than could be surmised by an examination of the physical world. UFOs, or unidentified flying objects themselves, in some cases, are the result of the precise same energy. However, in the case of the unidentified flying object, when it is in fact an image rather than a flying object, it has been created by thought, that is, the deeper thoughts of an entire planet full of entities. Interestingly enough, when a certain amount of the awareness of a planetary group of people such as yourselves reaches a critical mass consensus, the people themselves, from their deep unconscious minds, begin to collaborate without knowing in their conscious minds that they are doing so. The result of these collaborations is a tear or a break in the continuity of the illusion of the consensus reality, and in that hiatus, images may appear that bring forward into outer expression the hopes, the dreams, and the fears of an entire culture or population of a planet. Crop circles, for the most part, are created not by planetary consciousness, but by the consciousness of planetary groups from elsewhere who wish to help the people of Earth to wake up at this time from the sleep of consensus reality. In a session on January 16, 2016, Gary asks, Ra describes the time-space environment as the inverse to space/time, whereas we in space-time are immobile in time, but we can travel in space in all direction. Those in time-space are immobile in space, but can travel in time. Our question is, how do the entities in time-space experience the passage of space? Is it similar to the way that we in space-time experience the movement of time? I am Quo and am aware of your query, my brother. We will attempt to make understandable that which is somewhat difficult within your illusion, for the words to describe that which is beyond this illusion are not always available in your language. However, upon the cessation of the physical body in the third density, the spiritual nature of the entity, which is the enlivening nature which is now leaving the physical body, moves into that realm of the spirit world, which many have called time-space, that which is immaterial, that which is metaphysical beyond the physical. This world has its own reality, shall we say. It's a set of natural laws and qualities which are immutable. It is as rich as an environment as is the one which the third density experiences at this time. As you mentioned, within your third density you must move very slowly as you would see it in the river of time, accumulating a past, existing within your present, anticipating a future. Within the time-space realms, entities therein residing are able to move only, shall we say, slowly about in a spacious environment. However, they have at their disposal the eternal present, which would contain all of the times of which you are aware, the past, the present, and the future, existing as villages, shall we say, upon your planetary sphere. They may be easily traveled. The time then is quite flexible. The space, however, contains a kind of, we give this instrument a word suggesting stiffness or rigidity, which prohibits the equally easy movement in space as is able to be accomplished in time. However, there is the ability to move what you might call great distances by thought if travel is desired. However, most entities feel less need for that which you would call travel to distant locations, for all that is needed for the experience of the time-space nature can be created by the mind in cooperation with others of like mind. Thus, there is no need to move from space to space, when what one might seek in another place one can create here and now in the eternal present. Gary asks, Quo, we in space-time environment experience what we call aging as we move through time. Is there a corollary to that for entities in the time-space environment? I am Quo and am aware of your query, my brother. There is that which you call aging, however, it is much diminished in comparison to what you experience here within your third density illusion. Indeed, within your own illusion, your aging has been sped up so greatly because of the difficulty of utilizing catalyst that you live but what would be considered the lifetime of a child compared to what is available to most third density entities, that being a time period close to your millennium. As the master cycle has moved through its experience, the population of this planet has had difficulty utilizing catalysts, for most of the population of this planet has found the need to repeat third density here, as graduation was not achieved in the home planet. If you move beyond this density's illusion into the fourth density, the fifth and sixth, you may see lifetimes that are much, much longer in what you might call years. 90,000 years being considered the average lifespan within the fourth density, shall we say. This to you sounds like a great span of time, but you must remember the time moves in a different fashion within the succeeding densities to your own. However, as each density offers catalyst of some kind to each entity within it, the processing of catalyst does take its toll, shall we say. There's a wearing or an eroding of the physical, mental, and spiritual vehicles, for there is a kind of friction that occurs in the processing of catalyst. Be it ever so slow, it is inexorable, and there is the need to move into other incarnations, shall we say, but which is much more easily done in succeeding densities, as there is no veil of forgetting with which to deal. Question: I wouldn't mind asking a follow-up. Is third density the only density that exists in space-time? And are there other densities, time-space, or are there other conditions in the other densities? I'm Quo and aware of your query. Each density beyond your own third density has both the space-time and time-space qualities. It is the time-space quality within each density that allows the entities of each density to be able to connect in a more fully functioning fashion with the one creator, to achieve a unity which allows an overview of time and space and the purpose of the entity moving through time and space, so that when there is the desire to enter into the space-time realms, then there is more of a, shall we say, solidity or practicality or usability of the density that is then made available to the entity to pursue its learning and its service. This allows the intermixing or intermingling of that which is closer to the creator and that which is seemingly not as close to the creator, a condition which allows learning to occur. For if all entities knew without a single doubt of any kind whatsoever that unity with all was their true nature, there would be little motivation to move forward in the learning process. Thus is the value of the space-time portion of each density. The seventh density, however, is the density that those of Ra have called the density of foreverness. Within this density, there is the movement back to unity with the Creator, and there is only the time-space quality within the seventh density. And for the final question, it came from the same session, group question, for the entity that wishes to follow the service to others path. Is there anything of importance other than the discipline of the personality, knowledge of strength, and strengthening of will? Ra replies, I am Ra. This is technique. This is not the heart. Let us examine the heart of evolution. Let us remember that we are all one. This is the great learning teaching. In this unity lies love. This is a great learned teaching. In this unity lies light. This is a fundamental teaching of all planes of existence and materialization. Unity, love, light, and joy. This is the heart of evolution of the spirit. The second ranking lessons are learned, taught in meditation and service. At some point, the mind-body-spirit complex is so smoothly activated and balanced by these central thoughts or distortions that the techniques that you mentioned become quite significant. However, the universe is a mystery unbroken, is one. Always begin and end in the Creator, not in the technique. Quo, we would like to focus on the word smoothly activated in Ra's statement. Would you explain what is meant by smoothly activated, and how do we become smoothly activated? And finally, what relationship does the experience of joy have to being smoothly activated? I am Quo, and aware of your query, my brother. We have walked your steps. We have felt your emotions, the sorrows, the joys, the confusion. We are aware that it is not an easy path to travel within the third density illusion, for nothing is known for sure. Your intellectual mind cannot be satisfied. It is your intuition, your heart, your spirit that must guide you. Your mind, of course, can play its role, and it does indeed have a role to play, as you are, as has been noted, a mind, body, and spirit complex, which means that you have at your disposal at the level of soul, you have these three instruments, which you may use in your seeking of what you call the truth, the true nature of the reality in which you find yourselves, and the nature of that toward which you move into that which has been called the fourth density of love and understanding. The spirit is that which one with all of creation. It is the same as the one creator, the holographic portion of the same creative force which has made all that there is. You've asked this day how you may use this spirit, this mind, and this body in a smoothly functioning fashion in order to promote your own journeys of seeking the truth in the positive polarity, that which seeks to serve others, that which is radiant, that which gives of itself to all who ask, and those very being radiates those qualities of love, light, of unity, of joy, about which you have queried this day. Thus, each soul begins with a portion of the one Creator as his guiding star, that which leads the way through the third density darkness, that must be experienced as you move through the veil of forgetting. That veil which allows you to forget that you are one with all, that love made you all, that light guides you all. Outside the third density illusion, these qualities are quite readily apparent, and learning takes place at a much slower pace because there is no doubt concerning these qualities. However, within your illusion, it takes a great deal of what you call faith, of hope, of motivation, of inspiration to continue upon the path of seeking. For as you know, understanding is not the third density illusion. You cannot prove that you are doing to anyone else, however, to yourself. That still small voice within that some call intuition, or some the voice of God, will lead you forward. If you feed it your desire and your will and continue in a daily fashion to practice those rituals, you might say of prayer, of contemplation, and of meditation, to speak to the Creator and to listen to the Creator and to see the Creator everywhere. So each of you begin with the spirit, you as a soul. You then have a mind which begins the process of thinking, of conceptualizing, of visualizing, of contemplating that which you are, that from which you come, that towards which you move. This mind then takes upon itself the role of a kind of an administrator, shall we say, heading the corporation of your mind-body-spirit complex, and yet the mind by itself, even powered by the spirit, has no ability to move within your third density illusion. It would be simply an ephemeral thing with no real consequence or ability to achieve, work, or move along the path of the evolutionary process. For this work, it needs the body. Thus, the mind creates the body. The body is the creature of the mind. The body then allows the mind to move within your illusion, to have its being made manifest within the third density so that work may be done in consciousness, that you may make the choice of how you shall polarize or continue your movement once you become consciously aware that such is possible, and indeed such is necessary in order to move upon your spiritual journey. The body allows the mind to speak through the mouth, the lips, the tongue, the teeth. Words may be formed, thoughts may be translated into words which may be shared with others. The creation of words then becomes the putting of power into form, into concept, into image, putting these images together in letters forming words and the word sentences and so forth until you're able to express that which you feel, that which you think, that which you are, that which you desire, that towards which you move. As creatures then, as souls containing and utilizing a mind, a body, and a spirit, you have these tools at your disposal to carry you forward into unity with the one Creator eventually. For this is the goal of all seekers of truth, to become again one with that from which it has sprung. For each portion of the one Creator, made by the one Creator, yearns to return home to the one Creator. The Creator itself yearns for each portion to do just that, to bring to it the fruits of its journey, the fruits which the one Creator then may use to discover more about its own nature. For the Creator has given you a great gift, my friends, the gift of your free will, to choose what you do, how you do it, when you do it. You're directing your own journey. So how is this journey able to allow the mind, the body, and the spirit to become smoothly functioning? This is indeed a large question, my friends. We shall begin it. Each of you has lived through many, many incarnations within this third density illusion, and many of you are wanderers, having lived through many, many more incarnations in other densities as well. Each incarnation, and of which we speak thousands exist, has as its purpose to learn 2 or 3 or perhaps 4 major lessons within the span of time of your life. Thus, if you're successful in one incarnation after another, you begin to accumulate a body of knowledge, a reservoir of information upon which you may draw, either consciously or subconsciously, as you continue to utilize the incarnational process and learn more about your nature as the Creator, and how you have been able to express it previously, whether you've been able to love effectively, fully, appropriately, or whether you've been able to give and receive love, whether you've been able to take the larger point of view or have honed in on specific points with a laser-like beam, discovering the minutest details in one area of endeavor or another. My friends, the entire creation lies at your feet, awaiting your discovery of it. And as you move through each incarnation, you set about doing just this. You learn all you can of the creation, about which is indeed a reflection of your own self, as you are a reflection of it. For you are one with it and the Creator. Thus your incarnations provide you avenues through which and by which you may learn a multitude of lessons. Almost an infinity, shall we say, of nuances, refinements, changes of direction, and balances of opposites. This is where the process becomes quite involved, for you are quite complex beings. Indeed, that is why you're called the mind-body-spirit complex, for you have not only these 3 basic qualities of your beingness available to you, each of them may have various aspects that can be enhanced by the learning you accomplish in each incarnation. Some incarnations may be more successful in the learning than others. When there are setbacks, shall we say, when that lesson which has desired to be learned is not completely learned, or other lessons come along with it, then there are what you may call the blockages, the energy flow flowing through you. For each of you, my friends, receives as a gift from the one Creator what may be called energy of intelligence or intelligent energy. Each day that moves through your feet and lower chakras and moves as it will and as it can through each chakra. However, there are blockages for one kind of energy or another in one chakra or another, and then there is a bumpy flow. It is not smooth. It is not continuous. It is not able to move forward to the desired location or fashion. Thus, there is more work that must be done. This is the indication to the student. There are other lessons to learn in order to remove these blockages. Each of your complexes, the mind, the body, and the spirit, is able to process catalyst that comes to it, and when it is able to successfully process catalyst, that which is within your daily round of activities as every imaginable event that you can experience in an incarnation, then this process catalyst becomes experience. The experience then is that which can be counted upon in the future to guide you in a reliable fashion upon your journey of seeking. Oftentimes there are many incarnations necessary to provide the unblocking of one blockage in one energy center. The process of evolution is that which takes a great deal of what we call time, energy, effort, and incarnations. When each of the mind, the body, and the spirit complexes has been able to express themselves in a clear delineated fashion, a fashion whereby energy moves through the chakras or the energy system of your body, of your energy body, the energy is smoothed or directly flowing through less impeded until it becomes unimpeded. At this point, you may consider the mind-body-spirit complex to have become fully activated or smooth in its allowance of energy to move through it. The fully activated mind-body-spirit complex is quite rare, my friends. It does not usually occur within the third density illusion. There is, however, a lower limit or threshold, shall we say, for the mind, the body, and the spirit to function in order to move into the indigo ray energy center and begin the experience of what you may call joy. The indigo ray center contains the ability of the entity to experience its true beingness, which is a being of unity made by the one creator from the power of the creator's love, which has condensed into light and formed the creation as it is known. And that which is unknown as well, for the creation, my friends, is infinite. When contact is made with the indigo ray energy center, then this sense of unity begins to color the entity's experience until it is full of the quality you may call joy. Various opportunities are offered for the seeker of truth to experience the joy-filled condition. When there is the opportunity presented to feel that the incarnation has been successful in its goals and intentions, there is often the momentary experience of joy, knowing that the past is firmly set upon and all is unfolding as it should. This is an inner signal to the conscious self that all is indeed well. All is indeed well at all times, my friends. However, within the third density illusion, this is not often experienced as a truth. The truth of that which truly is. From time to time, the subconscious mind will send the signal to the conscious mind that it is indeed, shall we say, on the beam, hitting the mark, traveling the path successfully. There is further work that may be done for such a seeker, for this seeker, which has begun to experience the opening of the indigo ray, can balance that energy center with the lower energy centers over a period of what you call time, and the processing of catalyst into experience. Then it is possible to release the experience as a shuttle through the violet ray energy center that makes contact with the one creator, and the entity then is able to have the fully experienced presence of the one infinite creator with its attendant joy and feeling of wholeness or unity, at which time the entity becomes aware in a full sense of the nature of its own being and the nature of all that is within the creation of the creator. At this point, the entity desires to be of service to others by carrying out the will of the creator in all words, thoughts, and actions. This is the enlightenment experience, as you have called it, the samadhi, the kensho, the nirvana. Such a being seldom in the positive sense desires to leave the illusion and go forward as it will well do, but wishes to return to be with those of its kind to share that which it has found after having been able to cause the energy to flow through the chakra system to be smooth and free in its flowing directly from the base chakra through the violet to the one creator. I am Quo. We have apparently utilized this instrument's energy to its completion for the nonce. We would therefore suggest the closing of this particular session of working. We are most grateful to each for having called us to your session. We are most gratified to join you in your love and in your light, that which you produce by your very beings, in your daily round of activities, That which, when you join a circle of seeking such as this one, produces a great brilliance of light that reaches far into the heavens and is noticed by many who are appreciative also of being able to see this love and light emanating from this weary world of yours, which seeks so diligently to become able to move into the fourth density illusion which beckons. At this time, we shall take our leave of this instrument and this group. We leave each of you as we found you, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We are known to you as those of Quo. Adonai, my friends. Adonai Vasu Boragas. You have to agree, it was a tremendous collection of different channelings from Quo. A lot of powerful information. Quo always speaks to me directly to my soul. I found some of the questions very interesting. The question about the central sun. We hear about that all the time, but what is it really? What does it really mean? Why can't we see the central sun? Is it a black hole? I have asked that question many times. The question about the pets, very fascinating. Your pets might become your friends, your kids in later lives. They're patterns of an energetic intelligence that follow you, which I think is fantastic. I'd love to get your favorites of this particular session. If there's any sessions of Quo that you want me to check into, let me know. The bottom line is, look for the Creator in all. Find that. That's the lesson that Quo is constantly teaching. It sounds to me like there's a lot that Quo can't really talk about because they have a certain rule. They can't give specific information. And that is deflating sometimes because they have monstrous information that they could give us, but they can't, which is fine. I just find a lot of this information fascinating, and just be aware of the catalyst around you and how it's helping to move you on the spiritual path. I'd love to get your feelings on this particular channeling. And in any case, all episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.